Welcome back to another episode of the Red Pill Cartel. Davey Wavy here. I think it's 152 right now. And I have a gentleman on here right now who I'm a big fan of. I'm sure he's humble enough to be like, don't talk to me like that, but I definitely put him on the same level as Art Bell. I'm a huge Art Bell fan, and this guy's got one of the best voices in radio right now, Mr. Joe Rupe, host of Lighting the Void. How are you, my brother?
Man, I'm great. Thank you for saying that. I'm actually, might change my mind. I think flattery is a good, will get you very far with me nowadays, right? I mean, because I've been doing this so long without like you could say the Art Bell payoff, and I'm not sure I ever will. But like just to hear those things, it feels good, and it's cool to I don't know, it's cool to talk to listeners, especially people that have been listening to the show for a while, because I've fluctuated so much that I know you get me and you're cool with it. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So,
Totally.
yeah.
I've
Yeah,
had
that's
people
cool.
ask me, like, do you ever get nervous when you have a certain guest on? And I said, you know what? I'm at the point now where I'm like, they're people like me,
Yeah.
They're like, I look up to them, yeah. Like, but at the same time, it's like I'm good enough with the gift of gab now that I'm not really nervous when I have somebody kind of higher up there on, So
Yeah, you shouldn't be, man. You got a beard I wish I had, dude. I'm jealous of you. Wish I could grow that thing, man. I
I
would
have
love to
people.
have a freaking beard. Like when I grew up, all of my uncles were like either, uh, construction workers or bikers or whatever. And they always had buddies with the big beards. And I was like, I'm getting one of those when I get older. It's like I never could grow the damn thing. So, you know.
Honestly, the only reason why I started growing it was because I fucking hate shaving.
Right on.
But now all I got to
Right
do
on.
is shave like up here, right?
Yeah,
And I'm good to
that's
go.
it.
Because when I take that razor to my neck, man, it's like the red rivers are flowing, man. The
Damn,
skin is
because of
so
how thick you're.
sensitive.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah, that
gotcha.
I just bleed like a stuck pig, man. And I'm like, I can't do it anymore. So
It ain't
but
worth it.
then
It's not
it
worth
adds
it.
character too, right?
Hell yeah. I dated a girl one time that loved those things, man. It's like if you had that beard, she would practically walk away from me to go talk to you because you had that beard. Like that was didn't matter. That's what she wanted. I was like, "Damn, how come every time I date a girl, there's always one thing I don't have that I'm probably not gonna have that they want all the time, But I agree. But this was the one time I was like, I agree with you. Those fucking beards are pretty cool. Like I want one. So.
Yeah, dude, here I am like 3 years later with this. I started doing growing this beard when I started my podcast, so it was kind of like a character add-on for me.
Right. Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
But and
That's
I
cool.
get some people come at me like at work or whatever, like, when are you shaving that fucking thing? I'm like, shut up, I'm never going to. So get
Never,
used
dude.
to it.
I'll braid it. I might braid it, but I ain't shaving it. That's what
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
say.
totally.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
lighting the void, how long ago did you start that, man?
Probably like there's actually like four or five shows that are missing because I don't know what the hell happened to them that were like my very first shows. And I think I actually started in 2015. If I really go back and look, like
Okay.
2015. Yeah. So, no, about 8 years, a little over 8 years.
Yeah, right on. What inspired you to start it?
Art Bell, actually.
See, the man. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, he was like my late night friend, like I was
Yeah.
between working and selling cars, which oddly enough, I worked two jobs that I hated. I didn't really hate the tech support stuff, but I worked like if you would have talked to me before those jobs and someone said, you're going to do podcasting and radio, I'd have been like, what? You know, like it doesn't make any sense. But while I was working those miserable jobs, selling cars for and like Airstreams for about 3 or 4 years, and then kind of moved into the tech field, and I was answering phones all night and talking to people. I was miserable. So Art Bell was my best friend at night. Like I just couldn't wait to get home, turn that on and relax and just listen. If anybody wanted to talk to me, I'd be like, I can't talk right now, always trying to call
Absolutely.
into the show. And
Yeah.
when his show, like when he stopped doing the show for good, it was like a punch in my gut. I was like, oh, what what am I gonna do? Right? Like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? And I guess I started like diving into podcasts more at that time, and then it just there was kind of a void there. Honestly, I didn't name it after the Art Bell void, but there was a big void there, and I said, well, I guess I'll just try it myself.
Why not, right?
I actually started another podcast that never did anything, that was going to be kind of a spoof for marketing, called White Trash Guru, and I was going to show people. Like, I was going to teach people all of like these white trash poor person tricks to, so you don't have to work a job, like how to scrap metal properly, And I even got like a voice announcer to do like it was a whole spiff. I still got the audio somewhere. I got to find it, you know.
That's
I thought
hilarious.
I thought this would be cool because everybody's looking for a guru. I'll just be the white trash guru, and I'll teach people how to, just be like this redneck that can make a couple of grand a week without working. You got to do some stuff you don't want to do, but you won't have to work.
Yeah,
And I
like
thought
life
at
hacks.
yeah, man. Like, if you could scrap metal, if you had a truck and a trailer, you could scrap metal, and it's nasty work. But if you know what you're doing, you can make good money. It's just hard work. You can go
For
work for
sure.
yourself doing it right now.
So you had like a separate guy doing the announcing, like
No,
or was it
I
your
found
own voice in a different
no,
character?
no. I found So I read The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, and that's when I found out about like Fiverr and all these different places. And Fiverr is where you could hire voiceover artists, and
Oh
you pay
shit!
them.
Okay.
At the time, it was everything was only $5. They had other levels, but that's why it was called Fiverr, because you only paid $5 for stuff. And so I was like, oh man, I can get like professional voiceovers, and they made me a little WTG, like White Trash Guru logo, and only spend $10. I'm in,
Wow,
man. You know.
that's
So yeah,
awesome. I imagine the Fiverr is now 20 Fiverr with inflation.
yeah. It's rarely you'll find anything on there that's $5 for sure.
Fuck, man, it's crazy. Like everything's like just getting so high now. Like we just had a hike in gas prices. We're up in Canada, we're by the liter. So we were paying like on average 140, 130, and it just jumped up now to like almost 180.
Really, damn.
And it's like it's a huge change, man, because it's like you're filling up your tank for 40 bucks and now it's 60 bucks, right?
Yeah, it's $100, 100 American dollars here for most vehicles, unless you got a
Oh,
4 cylinder, you know, 80 to 100. Everywhere you go,
groceries
it's,
too, man.
but then when you turn on the TV, they're like, the economy, it just depends on what you're watching. But if you turn on MSNBC for sure, they're like, the economy's great, inflation's
Yeah.
great, and, like unemployment's at an all-time high, and everything's just great. And
Yeah,
it's
Joe
like,
Biden
yeah.
fixed everything.
Yeah, yeah, it's all good. No, it's nothing to worry about. And I'm thinking, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
Like the cigarettes are $10 to $20 in a lot of states. Sometimes there's days where you're like, did I eat today, or do I need to get gas? You know, if you have to ask that question, it's not good.
No. Every day,
I
man,
got a
my dad's
chicken
like,
right now, bro. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I got a chicken right now, so I don't have to buy eggs anymore because eggs are too expensive.
there you go.
It's
Are you are
crazy.
you are you growing vegetables too?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're
Yeah.
gonna still. We usually grow. We don't. We used to have a garden in the back, but now we just have like little plants and stuff around, like tomatoes or peppers and stuff like that. We don't do the big garden thing here anymore, though. Got too
Yeah.
old and tired. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, man, fuck, it's just insane. Like, I work at a big box store, and I see people pouring in there every day, and I'm like, where are these people getting all this fucking money?
Yeah.
And they're dying to spend it, you know?
What is that? What is a big box store? What is that?
Like a big corporate store, like like a Costco or like a Walmart or something. Well, more like a Costco.
Man, I think the reason why, like, I don't know, but I think the reason why is people are living, they're just impulsively living week to week, day to day. I got some money, I'm gonna go buy what I want. I mean, we're all addicts now. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm an addict. But I'm just saying, like, they're making us more of an addict by the way the media is now. Now it's like 15-second video galore out there with just intense content, and you could just flip through and you can validate all of your feelings and all your childhood traumas and everything that you've been through in a TikTok session now,
Right.
like there's no,
And you got to do it multiple times a day, every day, in order to get that dopamine rush now. Because,
yeah,
it's like chasing the dragon with a heroin shot, right?
yeah, oh yeah. I'm, I think I've always been kind of a dopamine, like I've always been like prone to depression. I don't think I've ever talked about this on anybody's show, but I've always been like prone to, like, some people have regular dopamine levels. I don't think I think something happened to me where I don't have, like, I have to do rigorous exercise or take drugs or lots of sugar. Yeah, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's not like I've done the normal, like I could, and I'm doing that now actually, where I just do regular like walking cardio 3 times a week, stuff like that, to try to get all this fat off of me again for the fifth time in my life. But that's usually enough to get people's dopamine levels, right where they need to be. Not me. Like, I have to do intense stuff like jujitsu and stuff I don't want to do anymore because I'm getting too
right.
old and tired.
What is your age right now? If you don't
I'm
mind.
42 now.
42. Yeah, I'll be 45 in May.
Yeah, really.
So
See, you know
I,
what
I,
I'm saying, man.
I
Like,
feel your pain.
I can't believe that's like 42. Like, sometimes I think about it, and then there's always your buddies. They're like, man, they're older. They're in their 50s or whatever. You're still young, man. I said, you guys said that to me when I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Like, I at
Now
what point?
fucking creeping up on you fast.
Yeah, at what point should I start worrying? And they're like,
Right.
well, you should get your prostate checked. I said, there you go. That's the test, right? You
Yeah,
can't say I'm a youngin' if somene's got to do the, thing.
exactly.
Like, I'm not young anymore, right? So
No,
let's get past that. But yeah,
it's hilarious, dude.
yeah,
My
yeah,
I think my key is that I don't worry, and that can either be a problem, but for me, I just don't worry because I think worrying is what's gonna fucking kill you.
yeah. Do you got a girlfriend or anything?
I'm single.
Good. Then see, if like, I'm currently single right now too. I'm sure I'll fall into another one. I usually do, but enjoy those times, right? Like, because this is the most peaceful times of your life, right? Because once you get into that, once the feminine aspect comes in, that worry level, they're gonna be, they might be like, oh, you're so cute and da 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 da, and I love how chill you are. But after a while, they're gonna
Why
have,
don't you
you're gonna
fucking
be,
do
yeah,
anything?
yeah, right, yeah, like, exactly. There's gonna be some bitching that happens, man, and because they tend to want growth in some sense or fashion, and you're like, and then you're always like, but this is who I was when you met me, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
you know,
So you're saying you want me to change?
yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
Here we
exactly.
go again.
Tell me what this red pill thing is all about. I hear people saying it all the time. Red pillers think this and da, 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 da. And I'm like,
I
what the?
figured you would know.
Like, I'm not into all the, I don't, when it comes to like categorizations and stuff, I'm like, it's exhausting,
Yeah.
to look into it. I always just think, okay, blue pillars are people that are kind of blind to stuff, and red pillars is like the Morpheus. You take the red pill. That's kind of the way I look. That's where it comes from,
That,
right?
exactly. It's pretty much what it is, man. It's like you either stay ignorant to all the evils and atrocities and shit going on, the real realm, the spiritual realm, or you take the red pill. And once you take that first red pill, you could take all the blue pills in the world, but you're never going to get rid of that red one.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's
Right?
that's kind of
So
what the OBE experience did for me, I think. Yeah,
that's
because you,
one of
you
the things that put me on the path I was on, man. Like
Really?
I was this is a good segue into that. I think I was about 12 or 13 years old, man. I was at my brother's house in Ottawa, and we got there. We drove overnight to get there in the morning. It was like a 6 hour drive or something. And so we got there by like 7, 8 in the morning, and then we opened gifts and stuff like that. And then I was dead tired. So my dad and I went downstairs. We took a nap together, and then it was just all of a sudden, man. This goes back to a conversation I had with a friend of mine, and he was telling me about astral travel. And he said what I did, man, was I pictured a beam of light from the middle of my forehead to the tips of my toes. And so I
Really?
was kind of half in, half out, more not asleep than asleep. And I, for some reason, that thought crossed my mind, and I pictured the light, the beam of light from my pineal gland, which I didn't know what that was at the time, to the tips of my toes. And sure enough, man, it was just like my vibration level just shot through the roof, and I could hear my heartbeat going and what sounded like radio static, like high pitched radio frequency.
Really?
And everything was black and white. And I was just like levitating towards the stairs, and I was going up around the corner. And then suddenly I got really fucking scared, and I just went
Do you know what that
right
sounds
back in
like,
my
bro?
body. Yeah,
That
right
black
back in
and
my
white,
body. And I woke up and I was like, oh, oh, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?
that black and white place sounds like the lower realms of the astral. Like, not, you know, it's dense. Like, it's cool to get out of your body and be in this world, so to speak, the same kind of level where you can see yourself sleep and stuff. I've never been there, but I've wanted to go just to check it out. But there's, according to Lon Milo Duquette and some other like occultists, there's a lower realm that you can slip into in the astral too. That's a little bit more dense. It's a little bit more kind of darker, and there's usually a lot of kind of lower like fear vibrations and things in this realm. Even you might run into people that are out of body or passed away or whatever, but they're in a fear state, you know,
Right.
things like
Yeah.
that. So maybe that's, it sounds to me, if that place is real, you might have kind of tracked into that place a little bit and checked it out, you know?
It's possible. I mean, it didn't last very long as far as I know. But I what I do know is right after the experience, I got out of bed and everybody was celebrating Christmas Day and having Christmas dinner and everything. And for that whole entire day, I was just a complete wreck. I was a zombie. I didn't know
So
what the hell just happened to me. And I even approached my brother while he was at the dinner table, and I said, I think I went out of my body. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like my spirit left my body. And he's like, you've been watching too many movies. And I was just like, okay. So I sat down on the couch and I just watched a movie, and I couldn't
yeah.
focus on the movie. All I could think about was what happened to me like 8 hours earlier.
And you were 13?
Yeah, about 13. Yeah.
That's a scary experience for a 13-year-old that's unaware of the fact that he can get out of his body. Like, that's got to be a freaky experience because you know what a dream is. That's not a dream, sir.
That was
Like,
not a dream.
yeah, you weren't dreaming. So, like, uh, and this is what I tell people too. They're like, yeah, you can tell if they haven't had like a OBE. And this is what Monroe even said in his first book. Like, I call this the out of body experience. I don't want to confuse it with astral travel, even though it might mean the same thing. There's is kind of a blurry line between there and the lucid dreaming state and remote viewing and all this stuff. I'm talking about my etheric body, whatever you want to call it, was outside my body. I was in
Mhm.
that same physical realm. And it's crazy because there are some really, really good, like, in my opinion, esotericists, occultists, people like that know a lot, that they're even good, I guess you could say magicians. I don't know. I don't even know how you judge that but when I talk about the OBE experience, they still explain it like it's a lucid dream or it's something like that. And then I'm like, no, how have you not had this experience yet? You know, most
It's
people have it when
totally
they're a kid at least
Yeah.
once or twice, you know. So I
Uh,
don't understand how they don't get it. I guess not everybody has it happen. I guess it just doesn't happen to some people.
well, in my own experience, I've only met people on like doing my podcast or listening to other podcasts who've had it happen to them. But in my as for people in my circle or whatever, or people I meet in person, they look at you
Yeah.
like you got like 10 eyes, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I get
So
that,
it's
man.
really strange, man. But
You
ever
learn to
since then, I've
enjoy
had
that.
multiple experiences doing it without trying. It just happens. And
So you
they get
can you do it at will or do
no.
you okay, cool. Most
The only
people
thing I
can't.
can do is if I'm in like a half in, half out again, like I described the first time, I can kind of realize that I'm in a dream state, but then I can close my eyes really tight and I can seem to like tense my body up and raise my vibration. Well, I'll get out again. So it's not really at will because I can't just go, okay, Joe, I'm gonna come visit you in my spirit state right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I don't know hardly anybody that's that good at it except maybe Thomas Campbell or William Buellman. Thomas Campbell actually like I never believed anybody could get out of body like what you're just talking about until I interviewed him on the show. And during the break, I cut during the break, and he just leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. And I was like, all right, maybe he's taking a nap. You know, maybe he's tired. And then so before the break was about to end or come back from the show, because you know I do a radio style show, and I was like, hey Thomas, you there? And I had to say it a couple times. And he's like, yep, I'm ready. I said, you okay? Because I mean, if you need to go to sleep, he goes, no, I was just traveling around. And I'm like, the fuck out of here, dude. Really? Like you could just do it like that? And he's like, we all can. You just got it takes a lot of practice,
Sure,
many
I believe
years.
that.
And I was like, damn, man, that's awesome. I want to be able to do it like that. And I'm still trying to get to that point, you know.
Yeah.
So
The last one I had was I was in a lucid dream and I told myself, let's go. And then I did what I described just recently, where I tensed up my body and even my ears, every part of my body, I tensed it up and it just like I could almost feel like this, and it's like you just zip out. I zipped out and I was in like I could see stars all around me. Everything was blue. I could see stars, and I could hear people talking about the gods or God and this and that. I could
really,
hear conversations, and then I came back and I could still hear them echoing,
that's
even though I
trippy,
was
man.
awake. Yeah,
I have no idea what that is. I don't
it's
hear too many
fucking
people
wild.
zipping out that fast, but I think people can. I can't do that. I can't do that. I got too much stuff going on in my head. I have to really get into like an intense, relaxed, focused state for me to even get to the vibratory state. And so some of the people that I try to get out of body or when I do the downloads, they're like, no, I love them. I got to the vibratory state or I fell asleep. And I'm like, damn, I'm putting people to sleep. You know, like this isn't good, right? But it actually is good once you can get yourself to where you can relax like a cat, really relax, you know,
Right,
but still not just clonk out. And nowadays it's even harder because of all this the mental stimulation that we have going on right now, you know?
for sure. I don't
Yeah.
know why or how I do it, but it just happens, man. And it's like I'd say I had about seven experiences since I was 13. So
Man. The fastest, okay. Here's I don't know what this is. The fastest experience I ever had was I had I would say a soul connection with a person. I used to have listeners reach out to me. A lot of times they were girls and they would say, you know, I think we have this connection, or I saw you in a dream, or did it, you know, and I'm like, I don't know you. Like, I would
yeah,
just be like, I don't know. Like, I think you're a little, you don't want to be an asshole and be like, I think you're a little delusional, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. You
But
could
like this,
placate them for a bit and see where it goes, though, right?
yeah, yeah, but to me, I don't want, I can't beat around the bush, but at the same time, I don't want to be an asshole. And I don't think a lot before I speak, which is bad for the profession that I'm in. But at the same time, I did meet a person and, I had this like intense connection with them. And we talk, it's one of those people you meet and you just like, you cannot stop connecting and talking to,
Yeah.
man. It's like, and then so she was like, well, I gotta go to work. And I was like, okay. I was just sitting in front of the computer. I was like, okay. And I started working, and I'm sure it's about 30, 20, 45 minutes past. And I just kind of nod off. I fade off right into where my desk is. And as soon as I faded out, I saw uh, teal Tupperware, teal Tupperware, not Tupperware. Like, what the hell are those bins? Teal bins and cages, right? Just
Okay.
teal bins and cages. And then I saw people with surgical, like they had teal hospital stuff on, and a hospital
Like a
thing,
gown?
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
can't think of
Like
the
when
word
they're in
for it.
surgery, right?
Yeah, and they're chatting it up and they're getting stuff out of these bins. And then they pull this like patient. It looks like they're just out or dead or something. They're either out or I don't know. See, I didn't know at the time. And all this happened quick. And this dude pulls the gurney kind of thing through the door, and a tall dude, and takes a wide step. And there's a girl beside him. He takes a wide step and turns the gurney, and then I just jerk up. Right. And I'm like, what the hell was that? Like usually if I nod off straight into a dream, then I know what the dream was about because it was weird. It didn't make sense. There's stupid symbols in it. I went to this place. Okay.
Right.
So like I told her, I said, I think I saw this or that. And and I was so still out of it. I didn't even think that I went to where she was because she worked in surgery. She sold well, what she did was that she would sell uh parts for people's faces. So sometimes she would have to go into the surgery and help the doctors, or because you don't, it's a whole other story, but she sold stuff to the doctors, to
Okay.
surgeons. And when I told her what I saw, she was like, yeah, that was probably so and so. That was probably this guy. He's tall and skinny. We just did a surgery. It sounds just like right where I was at. And I'm like, I just started freaking out because the way she was describing it, it was exactly what I saw,
That's
you know?
strange, man. It's almost like not only did you astral travel, but you fucking teleported.
It was that fast, dude. As
Yeah,
soon
yeah.
as, I mean, it was like an eye shut, maybe about 10 seconds at the most, and my eyes were back open. But I didn't feel any vibrations. I didn't feel like I went out of body, you know? So I don't know what that was. Maybe that's a remote viewing thing. I don't know what it was,
Could
you
be,
know?
yeah. It's just strange to me that you have to, for me anyway, I have to be half in, half out. Like I
Yeah.
wish I could just close my eyes and go, "Phew," you know what I mean? Off I
Yeah.
go, I will, but no, it's not like that. It's something
There's,
about the in between of sleep state and wake state where
yeah, the
you're in that
hypnagogic
middle
state.
ground, and that's when you can realize that, okay, here goes the vibration, right?
Yeah.
That's how it happens for me. It's really strange, man. And
That's the
people,
hypnagogic state. That's where all the fun is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you ever get that hypnagogic jerk when you're
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, dude, I get it all the time and it freaks me
It
out.
freaks me out. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes
Where
so
you're just like,
bad that I'm
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like jump, like almost levitate for a second, like boom, and I hit the bed. I'm like, fuck,
Yeah.
freaks me
One
out.
one time I did that. Oh man, this is another. I don't think I've ever told the story. The first time that happened to me, I was about 13 actually. Like, and we had this babysitter that was 16, and I thought she was smoking hot, man. Right? I actually got her to take her shirt off.
No way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But her boyfriend came over. So my dad and his girlfriend left. Her boyfriend comes over and rings the doorbell, and I can hear her saying, I'm not, what did she say? I'm babysitting. You can't come over here. Blah, blah, blah. So she comes back, and I'm talking to her, and she's basically looking at me like I'm a kid. I don't even think she knows I'm 13, you know. And she's like, "It's hot in here," and I was like, well, take your shirt off. I mean, like, nobody cares. I was acting like you're a family, right? You just take if nobody cares. She's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Positive," you know. So she takes her shirt off, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this is cool." You know, when you're a teenager, the first time that stuff happens, you know, and I'm in this chair, and I'm just staring at her, and I mean, she's far enough away, she can't tell that I'm just like gawky eyed, right? But
Right.
I drift off, and I drift off in the chair, and as soon as I drift off, I see a tree, like an oak tree. It happened in like a second, and just like my face went whack and just hit the tree, and I just jerked like crazy. I almost fell out of the chair, and she was like, "Oh my god, what the hell was that?" You know, and I thought, I don't know. I didn't know because that was the first time I had a jerk like that. I
Right.
said,
Right.
I don't know. I just saw like a tree and I hit it,
And we're
you
talking
know?
about a hypnagogic jerk, not the other
Yeah.
kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was just dozing off when it happened. Yeah. Yeah. I get
Yeah,
that
it's
joke,
wild.
by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Usually for me, I'm like walking in a dream, just a just a little stupid little dream, and I'm walking and I trip and I just go, whoa, shit, you
Yeah.
know? It's
Yeah.
always a dream. There's always like a dream related to that phenomenon.
Or
Um,
you're just falling into a dream or like
yeah,
something's happening. Yeah.
yep, yep.
You
Like
don't ever
fuck,
know you don't ever know the start of a dream. That's the thing. Like Inception, you really, if you're deep into the dream, you can't just stop and go, "Hey, how the hell did this start?" Because your consciousness is so involved in the moment
yeah.
in that dream because it's really crazy. It's a different state of consciousness for sure. Yeah. Like
I
you're
have
talking
this
about my favorite places to play in, bro.
for
You know?
sure, dude. And that's why I knew it was
Yeah.
gonna be awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
I have this one reoccurring dream. I have a few reoccurring thematic dreams. Um, but one is I'm in like a huge house, and it's like my family's house, right? And there's multiple levels, and there's totally different looking rooms, and like just a massive house. But there's this one little area that I always want to show somebody. I'm like, dude, come here, you got to see this shit, right? And it's in like kind of like a storage room. And then I clear this storage room out, and then like there's like these boards, and I pull the boards out, and like there's this little hole that you got to crawl through. And once you get through that hole, it's like this gigantic, beautiful, beautifully lit ballroom, but nobody's in it.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's so wild, man. I'm
That's
like,
gotta
and
mean
even
something
even
to
while
your
I'm dreaming this dream, I'm thinking, here we go with the ballroom again. I know it's coming.
that's that's gotta mean something to your unconscious or something if you're
Got
having
to.
it a
I just
lot.
can't figure it out.
So like if you think about like the closet, it's like you're wanting to show somebody something like a secret place that's cool,
Yeah,
but it's empty
but it's
because no
empty.
one's there. Yeah.
And the last time I had this dream, there were people in the ballroom. And I actually went down because I always see the staircase going to the ballroom, but I never go down the stairs. And I actually went down the stairs, and there was like a kind of like a butler guy there, and he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" and this and that. And then I look at the ballroom, I'm like, "Oh, cool, this is all it is." And then I go up the stairs to outside of the ballroom, and I'm just like at like this plaza of a store, like a store plaza. I'm like, "Huh, that was different."
Do the people that you talk to, do they feel like you've known them?
No,
Like the
not really.
butler and stuff? Okay.
No, they're just like NPCs kind of thing.
That's strange, man.
It's very
That's
strange.
strange. I don't know how to like I don't know about dream interpreters. I don't know if that's a real thing. I've got a couple of friends that are pretty good at helping you interpret it, like JM DeBoard and stuff like that. But that's something you got to figure out, man. You
Yeah, I don't.
gotta.
It doesn't bother me. It
It's
just
kind of
is what it
cool
is.
each time. I bet.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it, honestly. Like, I never have nightmares. Like, I do have, like, if I were to show you what I was dreaming on like a screen, you'd be like, holy fuck, you'd probably be terrified. But while I'm in it and experiencing it, I'm not scared at all. I just kind of roll with it. You know what I mean? When I wake up,
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, that was pretty fucking cool.
I can't
You know?
remember the last time I know what you're talking about. Like people are like, oh, that sounds freaky. I've been in dreams like that, but you just don't feel that way. I can't remember the last time I had a nightmare. It must have been when I was a kid, like a little
Same with
kid or
me. Yeah.
something, you know?
Yeah. But I'm definitely a dreamer. Like I dream every night. I tell people that and they're like, man, I don't even dream. I'm like, how can you not dream? Because I always dream and I always have.
Yeah. They probably just don't. They do. They just don't remember it. There's a state of consciousness, almost like if someone gave you anesthesia, where
Yeah.
you could dream, but you still don't remember it, or you
Right. Right.
like taking a Xanax bar and drinking or something at the same time. I blacked out. When people used to tell me that, I was like, bullshit. You know, oh, I did this with this. I was drunk and I blacked out, and I used to think, man, like I've been hammered and I know what I'm doing. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about until one day, I think I was like 19, 18 years old. I had an anxiety and I took like a full like Xanax bar. I didn't even drink with it. And then I woke up 2 days later in my buddy's sister's bed, and I freaked out because when I woke up, it took me almost 30 minutes to figure out where the hell I was. You know,
Jesus. Were your pants off?
no, 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 and no, no. I mean, I don't. She said nothing happened, and I mean, we're like, I still don't. I don't think anything did, but like but I would have never fell asleep in that bed. There
Right.
was a whole freaking day that when they were telling me I was doing all kinds of crazy shit that I don't remember doing. Like I just don't remember it. And that I was like, oh, this is what people talk about when they're blackout, drunk. I guess people can get blackout drunk, but I wasn't drinking. I just had
So
took a
you
Xanax
were
bar.
still like awake and doing stuff, but you didn't know?
Yeah, I did not. They said that I tried to crawl on the top of the car while it was going down the road, right? I tried to
Holy
pick a fight with somebody, all kinds of stuff. And I was like, y'all are bullshitting me. And then my buddy Aaron, who never lies to me, he's like, no, dude, you were scaring the shit out of me. You know,
wow.
like we finally got you to the house and put you in bed. And I was like, it feels like 3 days went by and I don't know
How,
what happened,
like
you know?
like you went through when people say they lose time,
Yeah,
like
that's
they
exactly
drive
what
it
it
down the
felt like.
road or something and then they come back out and it's like 3 hours went by and they don't know what the fuck happened.
Well, and to be perfectly honest with you, when I was younger, I'm lucky I'm alive. I mean, I just partied hard, you know. I mean, like I probably did everything that you'd put in front of me. I don't think I've never smoked crack, never did heroin, anything like that. But I've pretty much done everything else under the sun when I was young.
Yeah.
I went from, you know, just smoking weed every day and drinking a little bit to just idiotic stuff. So the reason why it's really shows you how powerful the brain is. The reason why I took that Xanax is because I had so much drugs in my system I couldn't sleep. I just couldn't sleep, and it started affecting me. Or like I really need to sleep. I was starting to freak out,
Yeah.
And my buddy was like, "Yeah, well, I got a Xanax bar here. Take that." I was like, "Please." And that's the last thing I
What's the
remember.
Xanax bar?
It's like so I'm sure you're familiar with what a Xanax is. There's so many people that take the bastards
I
nowadays,
actually I actually don't know the difference between Adderall and Xanax.
So Xanax is a benzo. It's an anti-anxiety medicine, right?
Okay.
Adderall is a stimulant, so it keeps you
Okay.
more awake and focused. And Xanax is a benzo, so it calms your nerves. Like it's the opposite. It's like a down. It's not. It's a downer basically. But it's you if you take a Xanax, you just don't give a that's why people love them because you truly have never felt more relaxed and don't give a shit in your entire life. It's not a depressing don't give a shit. It's like this is the most comfortable I've ever felt in my entire life. That
Okay.
kind of feeling. Uh a bar is I think they come in like I forget the milligrams because I don't take them anymore. But there's let's just say there's 4 milligrams. A bar would be like 4 milligrams, and they prescribe most people, let's say like one, maybe two. But people that
Okay.
have severe anxiety that have built up a tolerance to Xanax, they look like little bars, and they're like, I think they're 4 milligrams or something like that.
So it's like quadruple the dose or something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I didn't take Xanax at the time. I never really even took them. I did a couple of times, but not I wasn't prescribed them. So that was a. Like dose.
Like a heroic dose for you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so my in my young adult years, I had really severe anxiety because I got so tired of just being high and not doing anything with my life that all I could do was have deep conversations with a couple of friends, and then they wouldn't, and then it was just all about getting high again. When are we gonna get messed up again? And I was like, is this all there is?
Yeah.
And I started
Yeah, Joe, it
researching on
is.
the internet. Yeah, that's basically what a lot of them. They're like, "What are you bitching about?" I'm like, I just can't see. Like, I just felt like I wanted more. So I started having anxiety attacks, and I had them so bad that I wouldn't touch anything. I started becoming afraid of anything that was gonna hurt me.
Sure.
That would even if it was weed or too much sugar or too much caffeine. But I got ripped from head to toe. The best shape I was ever in my life was because I was afraid of everything. You know, I was so stressed out, and everybody's like, "Man, you look really good," but I mean, on the inside, I was just like shaking like a cat. Like just
Right.
freaking out. But I went through a lot of stuff when I was younger that made me see just how powerful the mind is. Like I had symptoms of the stress symptoms caused me to have things that sent me to the emergency room. I got tested for parasites and all kinds of stuff. My skin actually started turning a green color a little bit. Like I not like, hobgoblin green, but that nasty kind of pale green. My
Right.
doctor started worrying about me. I got tested for all kinds of stuff. They were all saying, I think it's stress and anxiety, but my mind could not comprehend. They're like, dude, I'm having, chest pains. I'm having this and that. This can't be the brain doing this. I mean, I would have rashes that would just pop out on my arms sometimes.
God damn.
And they're like, no, the brain, they were trying to explain to me, your mind, they sent me to a neurologist because I had my CAT scans, all kinds of stuff. And I just thought, man, I am going crazy. Like there's something wrong with me. None of these doctors can find out what it is. They're like, I'm gonna die. Like whatever this is gonna kill me.
Horrible, horrible fucking feeling.
Dude, it was a nightmare. And at some point, like that went on for like 2 years, and I ended up getting a agoraphobia, which is like where the only places that you even feel calm at all are like at home or the hospital. You're too afraid to go anywhere else, you
Shout
know?
out to my friend. His name is Rob. But he suffers from that too.
Yeah,
Currently.
dude.
Yeah.
I I called my dad one day, and I was literally thinking, and like, I'm way too vain to do this, but I was literally thinking I'm gonna end my life. I can't like this was suffering, bro. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, you
Yeah.
know. And at some point I just got tired of it. I got so tired of it. I'm like, how do I beat this? How do I beat this? What the hell is this? And I got this program called Lucinda Bassett's Midwest Center for Stress and Anxiety. First program I did where it's just a person talking to you, helping you understand who you really are in the mind, why these things are happening, how powerful the mind is, and now we have to reprogram your entire way of thinking, right? Like you everything about you is not wrong, but it's leading you to this. And I thought, damn, man, this was my only hope. I was that desperate. So I did everything she told me to do. I started relaxing. There was relaxation exercises every day because I'd been on drugs so long that I did not know how to relax on my own. You know, I didn't know how to relax on my own. Then I realized that all the negative thoughts I had in my head started making what we call, I guess nowadays, neural pathways of negative programs in my head. And they were deep in there, big time deep. So I had to retrain my mind and tell myself, like, I just didn't realize how powerful the mind was. And I think that's really when my journey began, because I was so fascinated at what happened and how powerful the mind was, that it's hard to explain. I started doing things in my life I never thought I would do, facing those things. Like, I would
And
drive to town and breathe in a bag. 6 months later, I'm driving to Memphis. But not only am I driving to Memphis, breathing in a bag, I'm going to modeling and acting school because hell, I want to be in the movies. Right? See, that's what this program taught you. Is like, at some point, you decided to stop living. You decided to stop dreaming. You decided that life was hopeless. And anything that you wanted to be happy about, you needed to ask somebody, especially what's right and what's wrong and what's best for you,
right,
you know? And I was like, what are you talking about? It didn't even make sense to me. But she would literally say, every time you want to know something, or you want to do something, or you have a question whether something's right for you, whatever, I want you to make sure that you're the one that's okay with it first before anybody else.
before you start asking anybody else.
Exactly. And I was like,
Yeah.
I started realizing I don't even know how to do that.
Mhm.
You see what I mean? Like,
This is
and
this is
that's
something.
crazy to think about, but
When we're children, we have that fire, and we
yeah,
go through this fucking indoctrination system that tells us, throws all these fucking subjects at us that we don't give a shit about,
yeah,
and it doesn't allow us to question what we actually want to do. We're just going through the motions. We get a shitty job, and we wonder why we're so fucking anxious and depressed,
yeah,
right?
it's bad now. It's
Yeah.
way worse now than it
But when
was
we're
when I was younger.
children, you were like, I want to be an astronaut. And then it's like, nope, you're going to school to learn shitty fucking subjects.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
in social studies or whatever, like stuff that you're not really gonna use per se,
Yeah.
um, that whole thing though put me through a thing now to where I feel like I can help people in that sense too, but also I can't handle. I just don't give a damn about what anybody thinks as far as about me. Like, does that make sense?
That's
Because I
that's
not
one of the
because I'm
biggest
an
hurdles we
asshole.
have to overcome.
Not because I'm an asshole, but because it caused me that much suffering in my life.
Sure.
So when I got so when I get around people that are anxious, or they do care about what other people think a lot, or they're really pessimistic, or they're it's just, you can hear the negative programming or the constant rap to victimhood all the time. I have a trauma inside me that is like, I just can't laugh it off like most people can. I want to get it the hell away from me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be around it, because I know that sounds crazy, but I suffered to the point of psychosis because of those types of thoughts, or that type of
Sure.
um, mentality. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I
Yeah,
when somebody comes to me and they talk to me, they kind of open up to me sometimes, and they're like, dude, I'm like so fucking anxious, or I'm like clinically depressed, or
yeah,
I kind of love talking to these people because I've been there myself,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
feel like I can empathize and kind of give them a little bit of advice. And they take it, and they're like, they kind of scratch their head and go, "Oh, you know what? That sounds like kind of cool, that you broke free from that." But
How
I
do
just
I
don't
do
see
it?
myself breaking free
Yeah,
from it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, because when you're in that state, like I've been anxious, I've been depressed for like months on end, right? And it's like you said earlier, I would not wish it upon my worst enemy,
yeah.
because you just feel like you can't do a goddamn thing. You just want to sit there and wallow in your fucking hellhole.
Yeah, anxiety is what I was taught in this course was anxiety was depression that went to another level. So it first started out as negative thinking and worrying gone out of control, pessimism, negative thinking, depression. when you don't even know. Like I grew up with around hard asses. People weren't like, I think you're depressed. And they'd be like, oh, pussy. They didn't even know what
Yeah.
depression was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was, once that gets to a certain level, then it's like, oh, I don't know, man. I can't breathe right. Like something's not right. You start fidgeting and your arm starts feeling funny. And then it's like, what the hell's wrong with me? Then you start hyperventilating.
Hmm.
You're just like your body. Then dude, I got it so bad that my brain, I went into shock a couple of times, right? Like my brain thought I was dying. When you go into shock, your brain will trigger your body to send all the blood to your main organs,
Hmm.
right? So therefore your arms and feet don't work right anymore. They're all doing funny stuff and weird things because the blood just left them to go to your main organs to protect you. And I don't know what this is. I didn't have anybody going, "Hey, this is a shock or this is a panic attack."
Right.
Like I didn't know what was
Just
going on,
breathe.
man.
You
Yeah,
got
that's what that
no trip
just
sitter with you to tell you what you're
yeah,
going through. You're just like, I'm fucking dead. Call 911. Take
yeah,
my body
yeah.
away.
Just relax, right? It's like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm beyond that point. Like, then when I had to go through a couple of those before I realized what was happening. I had an EMT that came to my friend's house one time, and she was like, I was like, I can't breathe. It literally felt like someone was sitting on my chest, squeezing my neck. I felt fingers around my neck, you know. So if there's a demonic attack of any kind, I would say that's it, because
Sure.
that's what it felt like.
That's probably what people were going through when people thought they were like being possessed and shit.
Absolutely, man. And
Yeah.
I even told her, I said, I can't breathe. My neck's tight, like something squeezing my neck, and like I can't breathe. And she's like, you're breathing too much. I said, what? Like, she's like, no, you're breathing too much. Because with the fire station guy, the volunteer guy, put oxygen on me, and when she got there, she looked at me, took it off my face, right?
Right.
She gave me something to calm me down, gave me a bag to breathe in. I'm like, it's not helping. It's not helping. She's like, you have to go through. It's going to take a few breaths. So she just sat there and calmed me down, watched my vitals, and then it just went away. And to me, I still don't know what this is. To me, I'm like, how did you make that go away? Like without taking pills or like what the hell just happened? She's like, to her, she's like, it's a panic attack. We come out for these all the time. And I'm thinking, people go through this shit all the time.
That
You know what I'm saying? Like they go through
fucking sucks.
this is the craziest thing in the world to me, right? Like
Yeah.
this is insane. This is a nightmare that's become real, you know. Fear at its worst. And it's like I got post traumatic stress or traumatized from the panic attacks, the major ones that I had that caused all these other things. This weird, man, I can't even explain it because I didn't go to a psychologist or a therapist, but I studied it enough. It was called panic disorder and mixed with agoraphobia. That's what it was.
Mhm. Yeah. I was my first panic attack, I don't know if you're into horror movies or not, but I was watching In the Mouth of Madness probably for like the 10th time because I've seen it so many times with my girlfriend at the time. We're just laying on the couch cuddling, and all of a sudden, man, it's just out of fucking nowhere. I was like, oh, oh. I'm like, she's like, what? What's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just like, I'm
It
dead.
sounds about right.
And I
Yeah.
started going up the stairs, pacing around the kitchen, and she comes up and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, call the ambulance to bring my body away because I'm leaving my body right now." That's what I felt like. I felt like I was watching myself die.
Yeah. You probably have a sensitivity to certain things too. That's why I felt that a couple of times. I think I know what you're talking about. Where you're just slipping away. All of a sudden you're slipping away
Yeah,
and you're like, what the but you don't, it's
it's like
like a mini panic attack you don't know that you're having.
yeah, you know when you watch a
Yeah.
horror movie or something or any kind of movie, and all of a sudden it's like there's a hallway, and all of a sudden the hallway looks like it's longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
felt like to me. Yeah,
Oh shit, dude.
yeah, dude, it was fucking insane.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
And I had
So,
one more like that after that, but it was marijuana induced. I hit a bong and it was so like heavy, and all of a sudden I went downstairs and I was listening to music on iTunes, and all of a sudden everything just went like that again. I'm like, holy shit. And I went upstairs, my mom and her friend were there, and I'm like, call 911, I'm gonna die.
bro, I got a story I can tell you that
It made me
that's first.
stop smoking weed for like a year after.
That exact thing happened. That was one of the first panic attacks I had because I used to sell weed. My buddies went to work. We all live in the same house. You know, you get the elbow or whatever, you divvy it up and you sell to people, everybody. Then, you know, I stayed there and sold weed. That's what I did. But one day I woke up and I hit a bong, like a big enough bong. I had to hold it with my feet, right? And I was listening to Rodney Carrington, which is like this, you know, Southern comedian. Normal day. We had the tray under the couch. It still got shake weed in it. I packed the bong. I hit that thing. I hit it like 2 or 3 times. I feel a pretty good high, but it's kind of like, you know, you should hit it again, but you shouldn't, but you do anyways.
Of
And
course.
I had a full-fledged s- severe panic attack where I was crawling around on the ground because my heart was racing so fast. I crawled to my buddy's mother's house, and then they called the ambulance. And come to find out later, there was some that wasn't all weed in there. So
Was it like some coke in there too?
yeah, they left like the primo weed in the tray, and I was hitting this thing like bong ripping it, you know. With the it was like a I think it was like a 3 footer or something like that, just bong ripping this shit, you know. And then when the EMT got there, she's like, "Well, what are you on?" I said, "I'm not on anything." And she's like, "Yeah, well, your pupils are telling me something different." I said, "Look, I just smoked weed." And there's like there's no way, you know. I didn't know. I swear. Like some people say, you knew. No, I would have
Yeah.
never done that, man. Ever. Like,
Your heart was racing.
oh, dude, it was like racing so fast I could barely like crawl on the ground. You
Oh
know,
man,
it made me weak. You know what I'm saying?
I did something similar. I went to a Tool concert with a coworker. He got me tickets, and we're there having a good time, just smoking our joints, whatever. And all of a sudden, a joint comes from down the way, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I hit it twice, pass it on, and like 5 seconds later, I'm like, my heart's like, boop, 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 boop. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, that was not just weed. And that
No,
was
what was
like
in
the
that?
fucking best time.
Really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, you were at a Tool concert that would have helped for sure, you know.
Oh, yeah,
Could
for
just
sure.
rock out.
I was like, somebody probably put coke in that, but whatever, just enjoy. And I started
Yeah.
going nuts, right?
That sounds like more like a good time than it does I think what freaked me out the most is when you're isolated. I was by myself in my head, you know, out in
Oh,
the
yeah,
middle of the woods,
that would fuck me up for
nighttime.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. I'm sorry I'm rambling a lot. I'm not even letting you ask any questions or anything. So,
No, that's cool. Like, I like having like casual convos, like people don't always have to have us in character. We can just be human,
yeah.
you know?
I try I try to stay out of character. I don't try to. You know, have you ever met someone, man? Like I can tell you it's weird when you meet someone off the air and they're different. They're just different.
Mhm. No,
It's
I'm the
like,
same way in person as I am on my show too. Like
yeah,
I don't play a character. I do play a character at the end of my show. I voice act my goat here, Nigel.
really cool. You do
Yeah,
voice
so
acting
I'm like,
stuff?
hey, Davey, what did you think of Joe Rupe, huh?
Oh, nice. Cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So then we have like a
Yeah.
little back and forth discussion about what just happened.
Yeah, I was wondering, I was going to ask you about the goat, what the goat was for.
He just I forget how it came up. I had a friend named Shayla. She came on, and I didn't have a logo or anything when I first started. I just started doing it, you know? And the goat came out of, he was conceived by my friend who did the artwork, and then Shayla named him, and then I just started voice acting him. So it kind of evolved the show like that, right?
Sure, hell yeah, have fun with it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like it's like my own little world that I have here, and I can do anything I want with it, you know?
I do that stuff sometimes, and people think it's like I did a skit the other night, one night, and they were like, "Who's that girl that called in? That was some. She's an idiot." And I was like, "Yeah, that's. Do you think that's real? You know?" But I used a voice changer though, so because I'm a big fan of Phil Hendry too. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but
I'm not sure, no.
bro, like you got to go like listen to old school Phil Hendry. This is especially if you love radio. So
Okay.
this guy, what this guy would do is he put a phone into his mixer like a telephone, and he's a voiceover actor like that he is now, but he started out in radio, and his first gigs was to get on the phone and act like he's someone calling in, but he could change his voice so well you couldn't tell.
That's
And
awesome.
he had a same kind of radio mic like this, which is variable D, which means you could just back out of the pattern a little bit and just talk on the phone and they wouldn't hear you because it only picks up the D shape around it, right? So
Right.
he could just back up away from it enough and then answer his own questions and then go back to the caller. And then other people would actually call in, thinking that he's talking to some other person and he would just fuck with them, man. Like
That's
that's what
awesome.
he just did. And he had like 4 or 5 different characters he would do. And he would go from, he got big radio stations. And it wasn't just one character in a comedy skit. He would just do some ridiculous stuff, man. You know, and things that you wouldn't be able to get away with on the radio if you were the host, right? But because he was saying it in these characters, like it wasn't bad. It was kind of messed up, but it was the characters. And because he, as the host, he'd be like, I can't believe you would say that. He'd be like, that's fucked up. And like, I'll give you an example. This one, he played this one time, this one lady was beating her kid for no reason, like because it was her kid, you know,
Right.
my kid, I'll beat him if I want to. And so he would beat the kid, play like he would back up and start screaming like he's beating the kid with a coat hanger because the kid was messing with the VCR. And then tell his character on the air how messed up she is and he's going to call the police. And people were just calling in like crazy. Like, I can't believe this person's on the air. You should call the cops. And then, the character would say back to the callers, this is my kid. I'll beat him if I want to. Come here, and just start beating the kid again.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, this is so messed up, but I can't stop laughing, dude.
Brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like what Orson Welles did with the War of the Worlds reading. He fooled everybody into believing the US was getting attacked by aliens.
Yeah, that was pretty righteous too. That's an epic moment in radio for sure. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't even have a computer. I run this podcast all on my phone.
I was wondering, I was like, is he up moving around? I thought you were sitting in front of a computer. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and when I talk to Nigel, I do what Phil does. I talk, Nigel speaks into the phone and then I pull away when I'm speaking, like I'm in the background, right?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. That's cool. No, it's fun, man. Like that's fun stuff to do. Um, I used to so you're a few years older than me, right?
Yeah.
Like, so uh how do I explain this? Somebody asked me one time, why did you want to do radio? Because I have this thing where it's like you should go after your dreams. Reason
Mhm.
why? It's really not because I'm trying to be that guy that's trying to inspire everybody. It's
Right.
because that was a part of my therapy to get out of that stuff
Sure.
that I
Yeah.
was in. And so I remembered when I was a kid that we had the boom box with the red record button. You remember those? 2 tape
Yep.
decks, 2 speakers, and I would record myself and characters like as a kid just because I was bored. So I would make like a radio show. And so you could play one tape on one side for music or whatever, right? So I had like Fleetwood Mac, Don't Stop Thinking About America, like my dad's tape in there, and another tape that I don't know if it's like Vanilla Ice or something I wasn't listening to, and then put a little piece of Scotch tape over those holes on the top so you could keep recording over the tape. I don't know if you
Okay.
remember, you could do that.
Yep.
And I would just record myself like talking to these characters and stuff. It's kind of psychotic, but it was fun as a kid.
Well, it's creative, right? Like that's something, and you took that from your childhood and went big or go home with what you got now, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not. I don't like. I would love to be have a lot bigger show, honestly, but I'm too comfortable with like a mediocre audience.
Right,
Like
right.
a small loyal audience has always been more fun. The times that when I do, because I've peaked and fell several times. Like at this point, it'd be 3 times now, and build the show back up. And when I get to a certain point, I get uncomfortable because there's like it's not about people like, oh, you just can't handle success. It's like I don't really want success in the way you're talking about it.
Mm,
Like I just this is fun to me. I do it because I love it. When people start getting personally offended or they get stalkerish or weird or
yeah,
I can't
that's
deal with
scary.
it. I can't it's not it is because you don't like I still have a problem with hurting people's feelings, believe it or not. Most people wouldn't know that about me, but I do. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings even though I do it all the time, you know. Like
That's just par for the course, though. Like you're gonna, it's
you have to get to a point where you don't if you want to keep going, you have to get to a point where it just doesn't affect you.
right.
It can't, you know.
I've said some shit on my show that like people are like, "Dude, really?" I'm like, "Fuck, dude, I'm
Whatever.
just state of mind
Yeah.
I was in at the time. Excuse me." I'm not gonna
Yeah.
fucking delete the
Yeah.
episode. I believe in and am a practitioner of freedom of speech, because every angle in technology right now we're getting censored, you know?
Yeah, it's not really a freedom of speech thing. It's more like because I'm all about that too, bro. I'll go against what everybody's saying and lose listeners. I don't care.
Sure.
It's it's more like if because you've been listening to the show for a while, right? So to me, if you hit me up and this has happened like on Facebook and you sent me a little Instagram video or something and I looked at it and I don't really understand what you're showing me. It's just some weird random video that doesn't pertain to anything that I've talked about in the past week. So I look at it and I go, okay, and then I just move on without my day,
Yeah.
right? I don't and they're like they get offended. Thanks a lot, Joe. Appreciate it. Because you can be, and I'm like, why the fuck did I even look at it? You
Right.
know? And this is the kind of people that have been listening to your show for a while. And those people matter to me, you know. It's hard to like I really don't give a shit more than most people, but there are certain things that matter to me, if that
Sure.
makes sense.
Absolutely.
Like I feel like I have a deeper connection with certain people that have been around for a while.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man.
Probably some
What
kind
are
of
the
childhood thing.
here's interview question. What do you think how do you think your show and the guests that you've had on, how do you think that it made you grow as a person, spiritually or otherwise?
Well, it opened my mind more to perspective, because I mean, you know what? To be honest, it actually, with all the guests that I've had on, it's taught me a lot about perspective because I've been isolated. It taught me a lot of wisdom and perspective because I've been on my own my whole life, you know. Some people have brothers and sisters or 14-year partners and things like that. I haven't. So these podcast guests and listeners have been that for me.
Sure.
Uh, and the guests have taught me a perspective because you can become a narcissist really quick when you're on your own.
Hmm.
Not because you don't, it's just because you are in your own world so much that you're not
If
involved
somebody
in other
else were to
people's
come
worlds.
along, it's your way.
Yeah, because you've
right?
just been doing that for so long.
Right.
It's not even a comfort. It's like I can't do what you want me to do. But having all these guests on and stuff have been amazing for me because it brings me out of that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like that's what's balanced me.
Yeah.
It's almost like my podcast is my life partner. I just don't sleep with her. Right? You see what I'm
Unfortunately,
saying? Right. Unfortunately, if
unless
I
you
could,
turn,
then I'd be set. You know what I mean? I'd
unless
be
you put
done.
lighting the void's content into an AI sex doll.
I don't know, man. Like the consciousness and perspective of other people have been an eye-opening thing for me because we're so polar minded as like humans that we can't
Sure.
see the gray area in things a lot of times. You
Yeah.
know, it's either this or that when you talk to most people about a lot of things.
Hmm.
And the truth is like it's way more than just this or that. It's all of it,
Absolutely, dude.
you
Yeah.
know.
For me,
So
for myself, I've been I've learned to take I learned to look at something and take 10 steps back and look at, like you said, the perspective. I
yeah.
take more of a neutral standpoint on things now
Mhm.
because I hear so heavily of an argument from one side and so heavily of an argument from the other side where I'm sitting there in the middle being like, both y'all retarded.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
why are you letting this entity known as, quote unquote Satan divide you so much?
Yeah. Yeah. The adversary for sure.
The
Yeah.
adversary, yeah. And
Well, yeah.
yeah, man, I don't know how I'm not quite sure of what your standpoint is on religion or the Bible, if you're a believer or not, or but I was listening to your episode with where you're reading excerpts from the that book about cyborgs. Are we going to be cyborgs in the future?
Yeah. Yeah. Wes Penry's book. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I was sitting there laughing because, and I texted you. I said, I totally agree with you on the fact that the idea of worshiping an entity that we cannot see is psychotic.
The idea of worship to me is psychotic, you know?
Absolutely, it is.
Like
Like,
it's psychotic to
if I
to
was a god,
worship
I wouldn't want
me.
to be worshipped.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Like,
psychotic
that's
notion.
narcissistic, right?
Yeah. I mean, the only time that's even remotely pleasurable is where in the bedroom, right?
Right.
Like but that can get to a sick point too. So to have a person just be like, uh, a thing or an entity, I love you, but only if you worship me, or if you worship me in every single sense, glorify me, worship me, this kind of thing. And I don't think I think it's been twisted because what I actually think is that we're just little specks of consciousness that glorify the source of consciousness by coming into our experience through remembering that source, right? Like
Right.
just remembering. And so every time we have our rocky moments, we bring glory to the source and to this whole journey. And it's like that's the some of the coolest stuff. And somehow or another that got turned into worship this deity up there or burn in hell forever. And it's
Mhm.
like, listen, man, I don't even know how you could believe that as a human being with a sound mind. I don't understand it. How that
Yeah.
can even I get that you've been invested in this so much and your faith and your beliefs in God and Jesus will change lives like crazy. It really does. It changes things. But I've learned that like divinity is works in different steps and different levels, you know. Like a one person could take the story of Jesus and what happened and all this stuff and use that name to change their life. Number one, because they believe in it so much. They had to get outside themselves to believe and have faith in something so much that it does change their life because they're outside themselves. They've let
Sure.
go of a lot of things. But there's there's like 5 to 6 other aspects of that story that haven't been penetrated yet to the true meanings of what this is. And all of those things, once that egregore is tapped into in the collective, still work, right? In the same way. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it's like a symbol. A symbol can mean many things and they're all true. And this is hard for the human mind to comprehend
Mhm.
because we have a this or that, you know. How can something come into, this is hermetics really, but it's like fractals. How can something come into existence? How can it be a mythology or a story that really happened? And I'm not saying a lot of this is mythology, okay? But maybe Christ walked the earth. Maybe there was a man, something happened, it changed time, right? Like something happened. So how can there be a story that something that's true that happens on the earth, but it also has a numerological meaning, a biological meaning, an astrological meaning, right? Um, I'm skipping one here. There's 6 or 7 different ones, and they're all true once interpreted.
Right.
It's because what created this place is outside of polarity. That's why it's so hard for us to grasp. If it's not this or that, one of these things has to be a lie, you know. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
you wouldn't look at a fractal that takes itself down into different fractals and perceive that fractal from the very tip of the outside of it and say, I get this part, but all those other things behind it, I don't see it. So therefore they must be a lie,
Yeah.
you know. You see what I'm saying? So
I totally see. Yeah.
it's hard to explain. I've been trying to explain
No,
this for
I
a long
know.
time, but
It's
you know,
something. It's that thing that we can't grasp, but and we also can't explain it, but we get it.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. It's like the logos creates a thing or whatever you want to call it, source, the sun, light, photons, logos, whatever. It creates God. It creates this thing, and it has many levels of creation to it that just happen that are all true. It does it have a code behind it, a numerological code? Yes. Does it have a constellation correspondence of some kind? Yeah. Does it correspond to a mythology where the characters mean certain things and the symbols mean certain things? Yeah. Well, did those people actually exist? Yeah. Just like you exist, you
Right.
know?
It's
Oh,
like I
well,
am, therefore I am. Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And all of that stuff in between those I ams is true.
Yeah.
From I am all the way to that I am, right? And it's I have
I
like
just I
even what I went on a rant last night and I knew it was going to start some shit and it did with some people. That's why I don't do rants as much because they can't get out of the it's this or that. They're not sometimes I just feel like I'm not understood if that makes sense, you
no,
know.
I get that because I've been through my journey with uh and this was like the past 14 years going through studying the Bible and being hardcore into it and becoming a dogmatic kind of person, and then getting out of that because a dream that I had told me to get out of it. And it was,
Yeah.
I believe it was a messenger, an angel telling me, holds up this book in my dream. And he says, brother, these words can either bind you or free you. The choice is yours.
There
And
are
I,
verses in the Bible that tell you that the that to be the study of the letter will
right.
ensnare you and trap you, you know.
Yeah. And that's why I stepped back and I said, okay, I'm going to take what I've learned from this and I'm going to kind of put it aside now and kind of come full circle again and live my life as I would have before with the knowledge that I've attained from this text, right?
Yeah.
But there's people out there who will say, you need to be in the word all the time and this
The
and that.
word of God.
I
Yeah,
know,
that's
right? It's like,
it's like this is nine this is how many books are in the Bible, right? These are
yeah.
all written but these are written by different men that have channeled through the spirit and put this
Mhm.
in the Bible. And you didn't even put all of the books in there that a lot of them wrote. There's like there's more books of Moses, there's more like other books that Solomon wrote, but you decided this one's real and that one's not. And now you're
Right.
telling me that the texts on this paper
Is the
are
true word of God.
is is the truest thing on the planet that cannot be. There's no deeper meaning. There's nothing behind it. There's no, you know, it's just ultimate reality. The code of reality are the text on those papers. And it's
Yeah,
like, this is the problem. But you're not even reading your own book,
that's it.
because like even in the book of Hebrews, they're like, we're meant to evolve the spirit. In that whole book of Hebrews is talking about, we had this evolution of religion that happens, this evolution of understanding that's supposed to happen, and that we need to evolve from this Christian idea into even more things, because at the time Christ could only teach things in allegory and mystery and stuff like that, so it was, I guess, to him, I don't know why. I think I know why, but a lot of people think it's because they couldn't have comprehended it, if he
Sure.
really told them the
Yeah.
real truth. Well, maybe, or maybe they put that stuff in the text so that you would dig deeper,
Yeah.
on purpose. So if they want to know you care first to find out the real truth, so that you would dig deeper.
Right.
Because there are Kabbalistic codes in the Bible that tell stories. There are gematria codes. I'm going to be talking about this tonight with Jason Quitt. There are things in that Bible that will blow people's mind that have nothing to do with the literal text. You know, uh, God, it's like when you read the verse, Jesus went up to these fishermen and they couldn't catch any fish. And Jesus came up to him and said, cast your net to the right side. And all of a sudden they caught fish. Praise Jesus, right?
Right. Right.
Well, why did he tell them to cast the net to the right side? I don't know. Why was there this number of fish? I don't know.
I
Well, they
think that has a lot to do with
what's the
constellations too.
it does well, the right side, so the right side of the temple, or Golgotha, the right side of the mind is the feminine, right? And the bridegroom. So we have masculine, feminine, we have the logic and the artistic. We always have this dual nature about ourselves, right? The right side is unlocking the feminine. It's unlocking the artistic, the divine parts of you, your creative side, who you are as a creator, right? And it sounds stupid. It sounds like you're just making that up because he said right side, and that goes along with what you believe, right? I used to think that until I really started digging into this stuff, and it's talked about severely, right? This whole unlocking of the spirit that comes through the body and unlocks in the mind through our bases all the way, and after we open our heart. There's a Kabbalistic story that also corresponds with the Eastern chakras. So there's this like major truth going on amongst all religions
Mhm.
but
Absolutely.
because they're a study of the letter, they're killing each other. My God's the right God, and he's on my side, and we're gonna kill you. You know, it's
I
like,
tell you, yeah, I totally agree, man. Like
what the hell is going on?
I had the honor and privilege of speaking to Nicolas Cage's son a couple episodes back, Weston Cage,
No
and he
shit. That's
he
cool.
was yeah, dude. I was like, fuck, this is awesome. But he was talking about the same thing, like my God's better than your God, and this and that. And these are the things that need to be quelled right now because look what's going on in the Middle East, right? Like it's fucking bullshit. There's so many people dying over holy books and whose God is whose, right? It's like, dude, can you not just see that we all come from the same fucking source?
It's a story, man. Like, it's a story that tells you deep truths.
But then if
That
you want if you say that God is one and God, like God is separate from the books, okay? I'm pretty sure God doesn't want any part of being in a book
well,
because he's
there's a
right
bunch
there,
of ways to look at that, but for sure, like
right?
God, I don't
But
think God is a book. Yeah.
at the same time, it's like if you were to say that to like somebody in say Christianity or Islam, it's like no, God is Allah. And it's like, no, God is Jesus. And it's like, yeah, but that's what the books say. I
Hmm.
can look at God as source creator without giving it a name and also going to a Pentecostal church and going, oh, Jesus, putting my hands in the air and doing some weird fucking dance that I'm like, what are you guys doing? You know?
I've been there before. My grandmother used to
Yeah.
take me to Assembly of God churches and stuff, and this was
It's
like
just
that.
it's
They just
strange, man.
you get that awkward feeling and everybody's like throwing their hands up and they're crying and stuff, and it's you can just see it's an emotional release that they need because they can't control their lives, so they give it to God. And it's like, if I can just believe in something I could give all this shit to, and then the tears start pouring. And
Right,
it's
right.
like, it's the body, man. It's being a human, which is talked about in the Bible, does feel like a prison. There's things that you just feel like you're caged sometimes, because you are caged in a
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Like, and if you just let that go, which is surrendering, it's the same thing. If you let that go, then the tears will flow, man. Like,
yeah.
I
I
started getting it
agree.
after a while, like I don't consider myself like a orthodox Christian, but a mystic Christian, maybe more of a hermeticist, right? Like I honestly believe that. Well, Jesus is the Greek name. Jesus is a translated word from Greek, from Hebrew to Greek.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
And
the
Christ
Hebrew
wasn't his
word,
last name either. It just means oil.
yeah, that's a Hebrew, and the Greeks put stuff in the Bible. They did this stuff on purpose because there are deeper meanings to these things.
Mm,
Even the numerological codes, like, 666, everybody thinks the mark of the beast, and it's a big thing in the conspiracy field, but there's a real code behind that that's telling you a story, right?
sure.
It's not your fucking social security number. Okay. There's a code behind it that's telling you a story. Will it manifest in a fractal way because of our beliefs as a social security number? Possibly. Because even Jesus told people, doesn't it say in your book that ye are gods?
Mhm.
Right. So he's saying in your book, not my book, not my dad's book. Doesn't it say in your book that ye are gods? In other words, he's telling people, isn't this what you created? Isn't this what you think is real? Therefore, it is real. Right. Like, you are gods. He told people they were. You're just like me. We're all family. You're just like me. And not only are you like me, you're going to go on to do greater things than me.
Love it.
Like, he didn't come in there and go, I am the Messiah, worship my feet, right? Only believe in me or go to hell forever. No, all he said was, is no one gets to the Father but through me,
Mhm.
which is also a hidden meaning too. No one gets to a state of consciousness without opening their heart. There's several different stages to this truth. It doesn't mean, well, then that means he wasn't real. No, it doesn't mean that either. That means that truth could have manifested inside of a man as well, just like it manifests inside your body.
Without hearing or reading the Bible.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need it. You don't
Yeah.
really need it, you know? But
Once it's like they talk about, like you said earlier, the letter is dead now. Once you open your heart, you don't need it anymore. You know in your heart of hearts that you are
yeah.
now in the footsteps of the path, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool mysteries to learn, but the thing is the golden rule: love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And what is God? God is alpha, everything and everyone.
Yeah.
So treat other people the way you want to be treated.
I've
Done.
said
You're
it,
not going to
Joe.
burn in hell.
I've said it
Good job.
so many times on my show, dude. I said religion complicates everything. All you got to do is treat other people how you want to be treated, and that sums up all the 10 Commandments. Now
Yeah.
go
Sums
and
up
do greater
everything.
things, man. You know,
Well, what about the cheaters and this and that? Like, people, yeah. What about this and the liars? And it's like, what
fornicators, the
about
idolaters, and
here's what you need to worry about. What about your lies?
yeah.
Like, are you lying to people or are you telling your truth? Well, I don't
Mhm.
want to tell my truth, but I'm a private person. Okay, well, if you don't tell your truth, then what you're doing is you're taking away another person's choice because you're blinding them.
Right.
But if you tell them the truth, there is no control, there's a surrender. You're letting them be authentic and choose for themselves. That's a part of love. That's how everybody wants to be treated. whether you're lying or omitting or manipulating, when you take away the freedom of choice to somebody, that's that's not a it's not like a deadly sin. I guess it is according to the text or whatever, but like it's really like cause and effect. The
Mhm.
cause is suffering, lies. It's not about the fact, oh, you lied, let's put your name on the chalkboard and call you liar. It's not really, I don't think they, I don't think that's the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that lies cause suffering.
Yeah.
Stealing causes suffering, you
In
know.
ways that you can't even comprehend when you're doing it.
Yeah, the ripple effect of all of
Yep.
these things causes suffering. Therefore, we create our own hell when we do these things, you know. But no, I mean, it has to be a this commandment and, or this or that. And I don't get orthodoxy at all, man. I don't.
Yeah.
I grew up in it. I was beaten with it. I was punished with it. I would literally get my ass whipped by a belt and sent to a room and have to listen to Alexander Scorby read the King James version of the old Bible for hours until I was told I can come out of my room. You know,
God.
like I, the Bible's a beautiful text. It's a magical text, but you will never get me to think that that's all that God is that book
Right.
ever.
I totally agree, man. I
Yeah.
totally 100% agree.
And I don't think whatever created this place wants me kissing his feet, worshiping him.
Yeah.
Like that sounds to me like somebody made that shit up to control people, honestly. It really does.
Doesn't it?
Because it's what it sounds like. Do this or you're going to burn in hell. You're going to die. Okay, well, death doesn't scare you. Okay, well, then you're going to suffer for eternity through 7,000 cuts. No, oh, fire. That's the worst way, right?
A
So
lake of
fire,
fire. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just the worst thing possible. There you go. And everybody's afraid of damnation. So now they're carrying guilt and shame throughout all their lives every time they fuck up just a little
Constantly.
bit. Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Like they're
Yep.
constantly like being watched with their every move, you know?
Yeah. I'm
God
gonna go
sees
to hell.
everything. He's gonna punish you if you don't do that or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
completely absurd. But yeah, if we're going to hell, Joe, you're my co-pilot. I'm driving the bus.
Yeah. I would like if you had to pick, you remember that movie, what was it with Al Pacino and The Devil's Advocate? You ever seen that movie? It
Oh
had
yeah,
Al
yeah.
Pacino and Keanu Reeves in it, and Al
It's on
Pacino
the
plays the
theater
devil.
actually.
That's pretty funny because he's like, look, but don't touch, touch, but don't taste, right? And he's up there laughing his sick fucking ass off. And when I first heard that, I was like, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Satan has a good point here. Like, why would you put something in front of somebody and know how awesome that is, but don't do it?
Right.
You know, at first when I was thinking that way, but it's the same thing. It's like, well, that's the same reason why we don't, inject heroin into our veins because it'll kill
Sure.
us, even though some of us do, but it will kill us.
I
Um,
actually I got a little brave and I posted a TikTok video. I'm doing these little videos now where I'm kind of like doing a little bit of a not a rant, but like a message, and then advertising my podcast at the same time. And I put one
nice.
out there the other day where it was like, I claim to be demisexual, which means I need to have an emotional bond before I can have sex with somebody, right? And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said, is
Is that
that
what that
can that
is?
be I said, can that be part of the LGBTQ community, or is it not perverse enough? you know?
I call it being human.
Right, right.
That's what I call it. I call it being human. Like, I'm the same way. There's tons of dudes that are the same way, and a lot of these alpha dudes that claim to be alphas that just bang chicks all day or whatever. Uh,
They
and I grew
probably
up around.
don't.
They probably don't. I played ball with them. I know, like they do get a little more attention than most people do, for sure. Probably get laid a little more than most people do, but they still cried in my lap when their heart was broke.
Sure.
So so it's all an image thing, man. It's all an image thing. I wouldn't even call myself I don't like these categorization
like
things.
labels and shit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, like
I was just
everybody,
being,
like
I put on a serious face and I was being, but underneath I
you
was
made a
being
good point though.
facetious, right? Yeah,
Yeah, because you're like, I'm going to categorize myself, which as a normal human thing. I'm going to categorize myself so I can file myself into some type of psychological subset on a shelf somewhere, so people
exactly.
can write articles about me on the internet and stir up a stink about my value because I am, what'd you call it, demisexual or something.
Demisexual, yeah.
Man, that's the
I had to look it,
craziest
I
thing
had to
I've
look
ever
it up,
heard.
honestly. I was like, I was looking through all these different types of sexuality. I'm like, that one fits me the most. So I'm gonna use it and then make a message out of it, right?
You're supposed to let me tell you, everybody has that connection, even the
Right.
hardest dudes, right? They
Yep.
have that connection until they get their heart broke. It's how you deal with the pain after that that makes up all this other bullshit,
Yep.
you know? Like, and some dudes have, we've all done it. We've all were young or even done stupid stuff just for the fun of it or the hell of it or had the wrong thing with the wrong person. That doesn't mean that, well, I guess I'm not that kind of a person. It's like, no, you just fucking fucked up or you didn't do something right. It's
True,
okay.
true, yeah.
Like, but for the
I know.
most part, everybody is supposed to be emotionally connected to that energy on for a reason. There's a whole natural and mystic explanation to it all, you know.
Yeah.
But it's been trampled on. It's been twisted. It's now some kind of category in a program. It's like we're in a matrix. Well, you're fucking creating that matrix by putting us in programs and categories and different codes all the time, you know.
They are for sure, man.
You
And
know.
like the whole alphabet community thing is it's like, dude, why don't you just come up with something for every fucking letter so that you have the entire alphabet, man?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and they're putting numbers in it too, like 2SI plus and shit. It's like, what the fuck?
Man, it's so stupid. Like I get pissed off about it. Like if I've got friends that are gay, man, I've got friends that are straight. I've even still have
Mhm.
a friend that's confused, and I'm like,
I have
well, what am I? What am I?
transsexual
I'm like,
friends, gay friends, everything.
help me. I'm like, all right, let me get real graphic here with you because I'm sick of this shit. Okay. The reason why you're confused is because you're fucking listening to everybody else. You're
Hmm.
watching too much shit. I said, so I want you to close your eyes. And I told him this, you know, and I'm going to get a little graphic, not bad graphic here with you, but I
You
told him
can.
this. I said, close your eyes, bro. And he closed his eyes. And I said, all right, you got a girl on your left. You got a guy on your right. Okay. Just I said, slide your hand down the front of each one of their pants. I want you to visualize this. Okay. How do you feel when you do that? Make it real. No one's here. No one knows. I'm not here, you know? And it was like 10 minutes. It took me a minute. I had to like real because this dude trusts me. He's one of my best friends. And
Mhm.
he was like, yeah, no, I'm not gay. And I was like, are you sure? I don't care. He goes, I know you don't care. He goes, I'm not gay. But because he's different, but because he had a deep emotional connection with this stuff, but because he liked to like wear makeup and do stuff, he thought maybe I'm like because everybody pointed that you must be gay, you must be this, you must be that, right? And he's like, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm like, I know you're not. I
Right.
said, but you're expressing yourself in a different way. I'm not. There's nothing wrong with being gay. If you are, then you are. He goes, what? I might do this exercise a couple of more times. He's like, thanks, man. I'm like, how are people getting so fucking confused? For just be you.
Yeah.
Like take yourself out of that picture and
If you're
visualize what I just told you and get away from society and everybody and work it out on your own,
If
you
you like
know?
the whiteness of the vagina one day, and then you like the feeling of a hard cock and, and the other day, you might be
Yeah.
bi.
Yeah, you got more graphic than I did, but that was my point. It's like you have a natural instinct there somewhere. And like on the one hand, I was when he was imagining the guy or whatever, he was like, he goes, I didn't like go ooh or anything. It just didn't bother me. I said, okay,
Right.
well then you're not homophobic.
Yeah.
And and he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, did it bother you? Did it seem gross to you? He's like, not gross, but I just wouldn't do it. Like I just didn't feel anything. I just wouldn't do it. It doesn't bother me. I said, okay, but you got aroused on the other end. Yeah, he started describing, even more of it. And I'm like, dude, you're not gay, bro. Like,
Yeah.
but that's not me. Don't take what I'm saying. I said, go just get away from everybody, man.
Yeah.
Like, be you
Yeah.
and call yourself whatever the hell you want to call yourself. But you are born in a man's body. I'll tell you that. You're just gonna have to deal with that unless you want to do something about it. I don't know, but I don't really get into all that shit. I just hate seeing people get so affected. I would even say infected
Hmm.
by this collective programming,
Like a
so
hive
people can
mind thing.
yeah, so people can feel comfortable with who they are. You know, there's been homosexuality's been around since the beginning of time, man, in
For
all
sure.
forms. So it's maybe it's not natural. Yeah, sure. Maybe the body parts are designed a certain way. Yeah, but there's also babies that are born with freaking three arms and tails and all kinds of stuff. Like shit, like everything is nature to me.
Yeah.
The chaos and the quote orthodoxy normal or whatever. It's all nature and it all happens for a reason. And the moment you can be authentic and be yourself without truly giving a shit what anybody think, and I mean anybody, is Christ-like.
Yeah. I
Christ-like, you
totally
know.
agree, man.
Th-
However, babies don't come out of men's assholes or penises.
That's true. Very true.
That's nature too, though, right?
That's nature. Yeah. And I look, I've said, and this is what I'm saying. There's gray areas. Some people will be like, "Oh, Joe's a straight up guy. He's this or that, or I've been called an alpha. I've been called a beta. I've been called an anti-homosexual. I've been called I'm for this community." And it's like you're still trying to categorize me every second in your mind, all the time.
Right. Right.
Like, how if you're doing that to me, what the hell are you doing to yourself?
Exactly. Yeah.
What are you doing to yourself? Like there is nobody on this earth. You are in a body. You do look a certain way. You have certain appetites, tastes, whatever. But there is nobody on this earth, the billions of people like you, exactly like you. And there will be nobody exactly like you. Well,
I like it.
I don't feel like anybody gets me or understands me. You're always gonna have that void
Yeah.
a little bit, you know.
Everybody has that too. Everybody has that. Oh, I feel like I'm not a part of anything, even if they're in like some kind of a collective group, they still
Yeah.
feel like they're alone. And I think a lot of people feel alone right now because we're going through this fucking crazy consciousness awakening thing, right? And it's like it's it's always been here though. That's the thing. I don't
Yeah.
think I don't think I really don't I'm really not sure if we're coming to some kind of a collective agreement of a consciousness awakening. I think it's always been here, but the internet has definitely influenced that kind of way of thinking. And
Hell yeah, it is.
I also don't like the way that people demonize the term new age because I think we've always been in the new age.
Yeah, yeah, like the new age. So there's oh man, this is a deeper subject and I don't have a lot of time here,
I
but
know I was
like
gonna say, yeah,
um so there's people that study the letter, right? And then there's things that go back to the letter. And then there's orthodoxy that goes back to sun worship.
sure.
And then there's the truth in the middle. Like there's the bigger picture of the truth. I don't want to say it's the exact truth because we don't know the whole fucking truth about everything, but the truth is in the middle somewhere, right? It's when you start slanting to one side or the other is when you was when you get away from things. I'm talking about
Mhm.
spirituality and religion. So
Mhm.
Bill Cooper gets on, does the pale horse thing, and reveals the sun worship and the mystery schools and how anti-Christian it is and all this stuff. But he's focused. He doesn't know this, but he's focused on the on Babylonian things and sun worship, which even those people then weren't actually picking up on the wisdom that was coming through all of these things that was coming into their consciousness that was meant for later. So now they're demonized because they're sun worshipers.
Right.
Same thing if you're super pagan. Well, I see you as a Christian and you don't see all these things. There's so much paganism in your Bible and astrology and, the Sphinx and all these things. Like, you guys are stupid and you're just dumb and you're the blood, whatever. You're going to end the world. You orthodoxy, crazy bastards. It's not it's a principality. It's a thing that's underneath all of this stuff that is causing the bullshit. It's like Christianity is a principality. So when people say I don't like Christianity, and after they say I don't like Christianity, then they'll tell you about a story when a quote Christian hurt them. That person hurt you. That person has nothing to do with the message, because it'd be like, I don't like golf because some guy at the freaking golf world hit me with a 9 iron. Have you played golf? No, I don't like golf because some guy at golf world hit me with a 9 iron.
Right. Right.
Like, what? Like that. That's the mentality we're at now. Well, they're in this category, so they all must be this way. And that's what the internet is doing. It's just now people are more trying to express themselves even more. And it's like, shit, we got to make all these categories to keep up: psychological, spiritual, sexual, faster, faster, more. Something's trying to program us, obviously. Or we can't just be like, I'm just me. No articles, no videos, no nothing, just me,
Yeah.
you know. It's crazy, dude. Like, I don't know. This is why I'm really into this uh right brain, left brain thing that I think science and Monroe discovered, but also the mysteries discovered, because you get overly intellectualized and you're a spirit and body. Right. So there's a part of your brain that functions you as a human, as a person, as an individual, and an ego. There's also another part of you that's working in there that's binded to your spirit, that's also individually you, that we can't let go of the intellectual side in order to express it. And the people that have figured out how to express it have become super popular because they're so authentic when they express their art, that they're being worshiped as idols, pop culture,
Oh,
things like that,
right. Right.
especially
Right.
the greats of music and all this stuff, and art and things like that.
Yeah. When I look back at old music, it's like they had it figured out. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it at the time, but like as I get older and wiser, the more I can look deeper into lyrics and music, like classic rock and stuff like that, and I'm like, holy shit, right? And then you think, or did these guys sell their soul to the devil to make it famous? I don't think so. You
No, they
know,
just tapped into the energies, man.
that's it.
That's all
Yeah.
they did. They tapped into the fractal and the energy started flowing the right way.
Yep.
That's it. Like, Don't Fear the Reaper. Those guys weren't, the Blue Oyster Cult wasn't hitting shit until they were like, oh, let's get into the mysteries a little bit. And they got the tarot
Yeah.
cards on the front of their thing and they make the song Don't Fear the Reaper, right? So they're talking about natural law and nature and don't be afraid of it and how this works. There's a love story involved with it and everything. Bam, it's a hit because it resonates with everybody deep down in their soul,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know?
I love
Yeah.
it, man. Joe, I know you gotta bounce here because man, we were
Yeah.
almost at 2 hours here. I
I'm a
love it.
talker, man. I love
Yeah,
it.
dude, I love it. It was such a fucking pleasure, man. Maybe we'll get it going again sometime.
Do
Do you
your
wanna
get your ass on the Fringe FM, man.
I
You should
should.
do your show on the Fringe FM to help grow your audience. I
Hook,
don't
hook,
like
hook me up.
I charge a small like fee to be on the station, but it's just like it's very small. And then, by the time you grow, like when Juan first came on the station,
I
He,
love Juan.
you know,
Yeah.
I remember talking to that dude. It's not like the Fringe FM found somebody and made them who they, no, Juan was going to become that guy anyways. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But just like Ryan Gable was already that guy. If
Right.
you're going to get noticed regardless. So when I come around, I'm like, yeah, well, you could jump on our platform. It'll take you in a certain direction. It'll help you, but you're going to go there anyways. You got to think about that too.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Joe,
Yeah.
do you want to plug anything like a main link to find
Yeah, just
your work?
fringe.fm. That's it. I
Sounds
used to have
good.
lightingthevoid.com, but I don't have it anymore. So I just the Fringe FM is like my media home, and we need all the support we can get. Times are tough,
Yep.
but I'm gonna keep that thing alive as long as I can, man, because it's the place where we go to be fringy.
I love it.
Nobody can tell us what to do.
I love it. I love it, man. Cool. It was an honor. God bless you, bro. Whoever that is,
Right. Whatever that is, yeah. Whoever,
whatever,
yeah.
whoever that is. And have a good show tonight and kick ass, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, bro. It was a blast. We'll do it again sometime.
For sure. Thanks, man.
Later, bro. You take care.
You too. Bye.